Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Nothing But Bangers, aka MBB, aka Bangers, aka I've got a huge breakdown of Ranked, what it is currently doing to the game, some of the ripple effects that we are already noticing. Plus, I will showcase a little bit of a cool statistical breakdown of my attempted climb to Master Ball. We have seen the first person hit Master Ball as well. I was going to reach out to them for an interview, but like they don't have DMs turned on. So there goes that idea. But let's get into this breakdown. And remember, there is a massive tournament going on this weekend for the Ursi Day Pocket Weekly. So I will be breaking that down as well in another video. Hit that subscribe button. It can be the button on the bottom right of the video, or drop a thumbs up so that way you can get alerts or, help this video reach other people. So I want to start off giving a huge shout out to Avery Sillyman. Awesome username, by the way. They posted this on Reddit, and honestly, I just don't want to give that Reddit any notoriety because the person that runs it has had all sorts of weird stuff with the community, but that's not the point of this video. So let's just get into this. So basically, this is kind of a breakdown on the numbers needed to get Master Ball. And the thing is, it's going to be impossible for people that don't have a certain win percentage. Now, I'm not going to read everything to you from this post, but I just kind of want to highlight a couple of things. Basically, if you want to jam 43 games per day and average a 45 win percent, more power to you, but you can definitely achieve Master Ball by doing that. Now, keep in mind, 43 games per day. I mean, assuming that the games take anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes each game. Yeah, that's quite a bit of time, right? So I definitely understand how some people wouldn't want to do that. The higher your win percentage goes, the less games per day that you have to play. So generally speaking, if you're playing a card game, winning 55% of your games in a card game is pretty decent, and that's something that should be a goal for a lot of people, especially if you're trying to improve. And then for the people that are really, really good, hitting that 60%, hitting that 65% win rate is possible, and it can definitely help you reach Master Ball throughout the span of a season. Now, keep in mind, there was a little bit of a mad race in the beginning, and it was really interesting, and it's kind of an interesting theory, but honestly, I think that Master Ball and climbing in the first 48 hours is probably the most difficult that it'll be in terms of getting from Pokeball to Great Ball to Ultra Ball, because you have all the players kind of lumped into one, and you're going to be coming up against some of the best players in the game. And as time goes on, because you don't drop all the way back down to Pokeball if you reach Master Ball, you're only going to drop down a little bit considering whatever they do. You're probably going to go from Master Ball to Ultra Ball, and it might be Ultra Ball 1, 2, or 3, who knows. But again, it's going to be a little bit different climbing weeks later or weeks into the season compared to when everybody's trying to climb at once. So don't be discouraged if you're not having a lot of success climbing, and these numbers are definitely helpful for helping you kind of pace yourself and not feel like you have to burn yourself out. And you can keep track of your win percentage by kind of taking a look at yourself in the game. You can hit the versus mode and then hit ranked mode, and then you will be able to see your win percentage by clicking on season stats, I believe. It should be on the bottom right of the screen. But again, the higher your win percentage goes, the less games you have to play to reach Master Ball eventually. As far as the Ultra Ball threshold, this is probably going to be the hardest part of the grind. And again, when you get to Ultra Ball, you basically have to keep in mind, look, I want to try to be at that 55 win percentage. So basically, I can play, 4 games a day and I want to win at least 2 of them, right? And then you can kind of scale from there. But again, you just kind of want to keep an eye on your win percentage, and you can kind of keep track of it mentally. You can keep track of it in a spreadsheet. Honestly, until we get a tracker, a spreadsheet is probably the best way to do it. Plus, you can kind of see the decks that you're coming up against per, depending on what rank you are. And so that can maybe help you bring a counter. But again, the meta is when you play in ranked, you're either playing like tryhards that are playing like Giratina, Darkrai, Dredagon, and that's a whole story, or maybe you get some people that are playing like some Spice. But I think more Spice will be played when you get to Master Ball. It's kind of like Marvel Snap Infinite, if you've ever played that. When people are in Infinite, they just play like a lot of, like, some people just play whatever. If you play Magic the Gathering Arena, like if you get to Mythic, there's a lot of people that will just play anything. If you played Hearthstone, once you get to Legend, there's some people that'll just play fun decks. So again, like the grind is probably in the climb, and if you want to get to Master Ball, these numbers are all extremely helpful. And again, like if you're one of those people that like maybe you have a very high win rate until you get to Ultra Ball and then it tapers down, there's still a chance for you to get to Master Ball, and it is worth noting that in Ultra Ball, there's no win streak bonus. So like Ultra Ball is probably like the hardest grind. It's the final boss, for a lot of people. And I think it probably will like filter some people out. But again, like there's no need to get stressed over it. But I wanted to show you guys these numbers as a little bit of a breakdown. And again, I'll try to move out of the way so you can kind of read the rest of this as well. So you can screenshot this. So there's the rest of the article if you want to screenshot it, if you want to pause the video, and then, kind of like keep going. But let me show you my breakdown of like my climb from my live stream. This is the spreadsheet that I use to track my wins and losses and all the decks that I played when I was trying to make my climb to Master Ball. I thought I could do it all in one sitting, and obviously I was wrong. The grind is just way longer than I anticipated, and a lot of us anticipated to start off. But I do, like I said, expect to see that grind be a lot different and probably easier when the game continues aging and as ranked kind of continues to age. So, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I think it'll be a little bit easier and a little bit more manageable. As far as my statistics, there was a little bit of like a weird discrepancy between like I had one win that I couldn't find. So I'm guessing that I made an error because the game says my win percentage for sure is that 63.5%. But when I take a look at the breakdown, there's a couple of things that I notice tracking across. So basically, Pokeball 1, I was 3-2. Pokeball 2, I was 6-5. Pokeball 3, 4-0. Pokeball 4, I was 4-4. And then when you combine all of those, my record was 17-11. So I had a 60% win rate. And at that time, I was playing Palkia 18 Trainer. So I think I maybe played Rampardos for like maybe 3 games during that streak, but it was mostly Palkia 18 Trainer. Great Ball 1, I was 5-1. Great Ball 2, I was 12-14. And that was probably the most difficult portion of my stream. And like, honestly, the thing that you have to realize is like by then, I think I had been playing for, I don't know, maybe 6-7 hours. And so like I was a little fatigued. I wasn't necessarily making some good plays. Like I definitely threw a couple of those games that could have swung the win rate 14-12, right? And potentially made that climb a lot easier. But I actually ended up switching decks to Arceus Dialga in that run, and I was able to rip off a win streak and then eventually climb to Great Ball 3 relatively easy, because in Great Ball 3 I had an 8-2 record. And then when I got to Great Ball 4, I lost 3 in a row. I basically played 3 fighting decks in a row, and I won one. It was a really good game, by the way. I ended up using like Mew to copy a Hitmonlee, to follow up with the Cyrus to get the game-winning KO. It was a really cool, grindy game. But the next 2 games against fighting, I just got blown out. I mean, they just opened like Sudowoodo into my EX and stuff, and I just got blown out. Like, there was nothing I could do. And then the last game, I just ended up just like losing. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, well, I'm pretty tired. I'm losing. So let's just kind of wrap this up now. Because I could have probably gotten to Ultra Ball that stream if I had switched decks earlier. And a lot of people were kind of like, you should have got off Palkia 18 Trainer a little bit earlier. But I went ahead and broke down the numbers for the Great Ball climb as well. And I went 26-20, which is like, honestly, like not very good, right? That Great Ball 2 run really screwed me. And then also like Great Ball 4 is still something that I'm in the process of like clearing. I haven't played since I streamed in ranked. And so basically, I do expect that number to grow. when I go ahead and start queuing up some more games, and I'll probably bring a different deck. I think that like the decks that I brought also slightly handicapped me because, you know, when you play ranked, I do think you have to bring like really good decks. Like I think you can get away with some stuff, but when you get to a certain point in ranked, I think you do have to like play stuff that like, you know, is a little bit better. And although Arceus Dialga is not terrible, and you know, obviously Palkia 18 Trainer can high roll, I think that like those decks are probably like in the second, you know, quote unquote, like of the power rankings, right? Like I would say that like the Giratina Druddigon Darkrai deck is like in the first tier, right? I would probably make an argument that maybe Gallade and maybe Rampardos are in that first tier, right? Just because of how they line up, because they play Hitmonlee, right? So that's something that I kind of think about. And then also, you know, you've got those rogue decks like the Meowscarada decks, you've got the Beedrill decks and so on that can definitely make some impact. But, you know, realistically, you're going to have like ups and downs with those decks, you know? So again, when I was kind of looking at these numbers overall, if you take out how the starting rank where you know, you're just starting off, and granted, I only played 3 bots this entire run, you know, it was still 43 and 31 for a 58 win percentage. When you combine my Pokeball and Great Ball run. And again, like I'm not finished with Great Ball, so I expect that number to go up. As far as the individual deck breakdowns, Palkia 18 Trainer, I was able to get 40 wins with it, and I was able to secure a 61% win rate with Rampardos. I only played it for 3 games, and the reason why I didn't play Rampardos more, even though it did play Hitmonlee, is because the games were just so long. Like for me, at that point, I actually thought that like jamming more games was more beneficial than just like win streak with like a good deck, right? Like, you know, you can play a lot of games with Palkia 18 Trainer in a pretty quick manner, but when you start playing decks like Rampardos, when you start playing decks like Arceus Dialga, when you start playing decks like Giratina Darkrai and Druddigon, you know, some of those games can last forever, and it really, like, even though you may win, it slows down your run, right? Your speed run. But now that, you know, all things are considered, and I see that like win percentage matters, like, and I see how many games you have to play, like, honestly, I just say, hey, play the deck that you feel the most comfortable with, that like is probably either a direct counter to the top decks or like is one of the top decks. And if you do that, you should be able to be okay. And you know, when I take a look at the overall numbers of like the other decks, like I said, 2-1 with Rampardos, 12-5 with Arceus Dialga, that was a 70% win rate, right? And you know, if you take out my Great Ball 4 run, yeah, I was like what, 11-2. You know, that's an insane win percentage. So again, I think that like sticking with certain decks is probably a good idea. And, you know, I'm probably able to like backtrack my matchup data and take a look at it a little bit closer. But overall, you know, 63.5 win percentage when you include all of the games. And I was pretty happy with that. But again, you know, it could be better. I could definitely improve and keep, you know, closing games out. And I know like one of the first comments that people are going to probably ask for is like the deck list. And what I would tell you is that like I've already made a couple of videos about those deck lists, but I will show you how the decks that I ended up playing one more time in this video. So stay tuned for that. But I want to also talk about like how ranked is impacting the game. So let's talk about that for a second. Currently, the Ursi Days Pocket Weekly is going on, and it has the lowest amount of players that it's had in a very long time. 967 people play this tournament this weekend, and honestly, I think ranked has a lot to do with that. And obviously, I think Ursi is fantastic. I think that the prize support is solid, and I think that it's great for the community. But I do think that ranked has taken a little bit of steam out of the tournament scene. And I also think that we have seen tournament numbers kind of drop a little bit in some of these bigger weekend tournaments for the past few weeks. The icing on the cake, in my opinion, was ranked because, you know, let's just be honest. The reason why, you know, there's a lot of sweat and like tryhards in these tournaments is like, first of all, you know, they want to win the money. And then second of all, it can be a way to kind of get your name out there. But realistically, not a lot of people playing Pokemon Pocket are making money from these tournaments, right? Like the number of people, like, or the percentage of people that are winning money and prize money from these tournaments is just not very high. And so I think when you take a look at like the launch of a new feature like ranked, I think it's going to take away people from the tournament scene kind of like in the immediate future, and like as we're currently seeing. And even in the past few days, you know, you definitely see like completed tournaments. You know, there's the Pocket Legends League only had 229 players, PLL, right? And we've seen that tournament hit 500, 600, and it has dipped a little bit as they've kind of changed time zones a little bit, tried to find their niche. But I do think that it is definitely a indication that, first of all, a lot of people are playing ranked, and second of all, that, you know, there probably is a little bit of maybe reflection that the tournament scene might need to kind of look at. And I don't know what the reflections are going to lead them to, but I think that maybe there needs to be, I don't know, maybe there's some changes that could happen. Maybe there's some new ways to look at the way that tournaments are being ran. I don't know. But as far as like the overall numbers of these tournaments, it's very clear that the biggest tournaments have seen a drop in attendance. And you know, the number one thing that I would think would help is obviously better prize support, but then that comes into getting more sponsors or putting people's own money into the pool. And like that's really tough to ask of people, right? Like, you know, I know for a fact that there are some of these tournaments that are funded by literally people going to work, taking a portion of their paycheck and then putting it into the prize support. Like, that's insane, right? Like, that, kudos to those people. But I wonder, is this going to happen continuously? Are we going to continue to see tournament numbers drop? And ultimately, my thought process is that ranked should be a little bit of a gateway into people playing for tournaments, right? That's the way that I can envision this in the long term, is that, oh man, I'm playing ranked now. I want to check out some more decks on YouTube. I want to see what's doing good. And then they get on YouTube and they see, oh, there's tournaments. Well, let me check out these tournaments. Okay, they're kind of long. They're like 8-hour grinds in some cases. So, you know, that's going to be a big, you know, kind of like turning point for some people. But I do think that there is potential for ranked to push people that maybe weren't in the tournament scene into the tournament scene. And hopefully, you know, we can continue to get sponsors that can help these tournaments have better prize support as well. And ultimately, like, that's going to be one of the biggest driving forces for tournaments in the future. Like, just to be real honest, and this is the same thing it's been for a lot of people for decades now. When it comes to tournaments, you know, obviously people want their name out there, they want the notoriety, but the number one thing that a lot of people want is they want the prize pool to be something worth playing for. And you know, there's a valid question, right? Like, for some people in their country, $50 is a lot of money. But for a lot of people, you know, $50 in a prize pool for, you know, for grinding for 8 hours, you know, like, that's not very good value for the money, the time that you spent, right? So, like, if prize support does somehow improve, I could see these numbers going back up. And if ranked has the effect that I think it should, I could imagine more people jumping into tournament scenes that maybe hadn't been in the tournament scene because they're like grinding on ranked. You know, the pushback against that would be, well, why would I play tournaments for 8 hours when I could just play ranked when I want? And like, that's valid. But again, I think that the ideal case is that this is kind of like a gateway for people to get into the tournament scene. You know, the other thing that I kind of notice about the state of tournaments and the state of the game since ranked has came out is like, dude, people are pissed about the best decks, right? Like, and that's just like the nature of the beast, right? People are, if you want to climb, you know, you have to play a good deck usually, right? And for a lot of people, that's net decking the best deck that they see on the internet, right? And so for a lot of people, that's Giratina, Dredagon, and Darkrai. And like, that deck has horrible play patterns. It's so annoying. Okay, I'm going to be the first to tell you it's annoying. And the thing is, like, I've been talking about the deck for like a week now, just about, I don't know, maybe a little less than a week, in multiple videos. So we knew it was going to be a thing. But again, just the play pattern of that deck can be something that is annoying and boring to play against. And honestly, it can actually just gatekeep certain decks from being relevant, right? So it's going to be really tough to see, immediate like turnaround in the tournament scene, in my opinion. But I do think that like overall ranked is good for a lot of things in the game, and I think that ultimately tournaments will be back stronger than ever. It's just going to take some time as we adjust to ranked in the first season of ranked and everything like that. But again, let me know what you think about what ranked has done to Pokemon Pocket so far. Let me know what you think about the tournament scene. I look forward to reading the comments, and I look forward to hopefully streaming some more games with you guys. Ranked has actually made me want to stream even more, so I'm very excited. Hopefully I can go ahead and do that and share that climb with you guys, and I will leave the link to the spreadsheet that I showed for my own data in the description as well. But let me know what you think, and until next time, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day for me to be background noise. Maybe it was entertaining, maybe you learned something, but until next time, I'll catch you later. Peace.